Eeyore. It's a 1979 F350. It's a camper special edition. It's got a 400 in it and it's 4-speed. It's two-wheel drive, of course, and it's a project. I've only owned it for about 2 months now, and all I've done to it so far is I put the tow mirrors on it. But we're going to actually put a metal flatbed on it. You see, it came with that wooden one, but it also came with a metal one, and we finally got around to getting it. And that's what this video is going to be about. Now, I'm going to show you the metal flatbed, and then after that, I'm going to start taking off the wooden one. This is Eeyore's bed. I don't know really how big it is. I know it's huge though. I mean, I got a 6-foot span, so it's about 9 foot, and it's probably about 8 foot in width. Right now I got it this way so I can look underneath it and see what all I need to weld up before it goes onto the truck. Because some of this stuff I don't know, I'm second guessing. It's kind of like for where the fifth wheel is. Or not fifth wheel, but the gooseneck. It's been a little bit because somebody's put too much of a load on it, or it was just too weak from the get-go. So I'm going to do a little bit of stuff with that and some other stuff too. This is the underside of Eeyore's bed. As you can kind of see, that C-channel, it's just a tad bit bent. Probably going to just get a piece of plate a little bit thicker, weld it right there. This bed is built out of some fairly thin stuff. I also might need to do a headache rack for it too, but that'll be in a later video. Eeyore's bed wasn't held on by very much. I mean, even C-clamps were holding that together. But I got the gas tank off of it as a boat gas tank, and got all the tail lights undone. So hopefully it's heavier than you'd think, that's for sure. Hopefully it'll come on off. There we go. It's a lot heavier than I was expecting. It weighs, shoot, it feels like 200 pounds or so. Yeah, a little bit more this way. Today we finally got the bed on Eeyore. It's not on there for permanent use, but it's there for just general mock-up and seeing what it looks like. I think it looks pretty good. Now, tonight I'm going to take the water cooler off because it's a little bit messed up. I don't really care for them all that much. And there's some flat stock tabs that I believe a welder was held on with. We're going to cut them off as well. Also, I got this up for just mock-up and see what I like. This is a 2 7/8 piece of drill casing. It's going to be my gym poles. What's going to happen is I'm going to pin it about right here and make some flat stock box, and then it'll flip, it'll come out and be my gym pole. And whenever I'm not using it, it will be a rail, kind of like a Bradford built bed or something else would have. Now, I thought about using a 2x4 square tubing for this, but it comes up a little bit too high. It's going to be about right there. And I don't know, I just don't really like that because I can see putting a lot of stuff on here sideways, like 4-wheelers and small tractors and whatever. So having it as close as I possibly can, except giving a lip, as close as I possibly can to the bed itself and giving it a lip. I'm going to like that more. I think it looks pretty good, but it's time to get started. Okay, YouTube, we're going to cut off this piece of angle right here because right now it's really not functional for anything other than put like ramps or something stupid on. And we're going to take these stake pockets out too. And once we do that, we're going to, in a couple of days, get another piece of angle off of a gravel shaker. We're going to repurpose it and going to put that on. It's going to be about like 1/2 inch thick, so it'll also stand up a lot better than that. Now that I got that angle iron off, I'm going to go cut the drill casing for the gin pole since it's still daylight and it's supposed to rain for like a freaking week or something like that. Okay, I brought my cutting torch into the woods and I'm going to be cutting these trusses up. This is what I'm going to be using for my gin pole. It's a lot of rust in them. I'm hoping that I'll cut about right here and it might not be as much. I don't know yet. We're just trying to see if it's salvageable at this point. I did bring my chipping hammer and I've hit it pretty hard in places and it hadn't went through or anything, so I think that most of it's solid. It's just some parts. Another thing that I'm going to have to worry about, not worry about it that much, is it's got a little bit of a bow, so it's going to scare the crap out of me whenever I cut it because that tree is grown, so it's just going to let loose. But let's get to it. I got 2 stalks of pipe now. I got this little short one about 7 foot, and then I got this one about 13 foot. That one I'm going to make a gin pole out of for sure. It didn't have much that came out of it, only about this much of rust. And that little short one, that's what came out of it. So it's no good pretty much. I might use it for maybe the headache rack or something that won't see that much weight, but I don't know. I got a lot of pipe that I can use. I'll probably use something a little bit better. This is my next one. The weld, somehow it broke out right there. So this truss, all I got to do is I got to cut that one spot. It's not even done up on this side. I don't know what happened here either. I guess weld broke when the tree grew or something. It's been a while since I fired up the camera on this project, but this is where we're at so far. I'm building my toolbox. I was originally going to build it right here, and it was going to go in between these two what I'll call joists, and it was going to set on this frame rail exactly like this one's done. Now I welded right here up so you don't have to worry about chains or anything like that coming out. And also right there I got me a little bitty piece of angle. Now it's still got about 1.5 inch gap, but I'm not really worried about that because all I'm doing is putting chains and straps and crap like that in it. But the reason why I didn't put it over here was because one day I'm going to put ramps in here and make it where it will actually stay with the bed. So just kind of like a regular trailer or something like that's done, where I can put 4-wheelers and crap like that on it. Now this is going to be the top. I'm not done welding it or anything, just got some tacks here, some tacks there. But then, yeah, I know it's out of square, but I don't know, didn't really care that much. But either way, this is the lid. I used a cutting torch, and I didn't do it freehand or anything like that. Just put me a little bitty brace up and then cut it off. I was using a grinder, but that took too long. I didn't have to cut off wheels. But this piece right here, this tread plate, it was a piece that's just bent really bad, and I figure what better time to use it than right then. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put places for my gin poles. Now, my gym poles, they're going to actually be set kind of like a receiver hitch. And I'm going to have brackets coming up, have gussets and stuff like that coming off of it. But I'm going to have them set about, just spitballing right now, but probably about right here. And get me a good weld in there, have a gusset coming out a little bit. And how that's going to work is I'm going to put tractor joints on it. Don't have them right now, but they're going to be kind of like the ones on this little Kubota, except they're going to be a whole lot bigger than that. It's going to have a plate on it about right here, and then the rest is going to be square tubing, kind of like a receiver hitch. The reason I'm doing that is where I can put them back here if I want, or I can mount them up here like a record bed. So if I have to carry something light or pick something up in a different location, it's not just like gym poles usually are. I think that covers it pretty much for right now. I'm probably going to use some of this. That's been my favorite metal to use on this project. It's a piece of 3-inch angle with a little bit of flat plate welded on. My papa was actually going to use this as a door hinge gutter or something like that back 20 years ago. It's got like a slight bow in it, but it's not too bad. But I'm probably going to use some of this, put it about right there. I hadn't measured it yet to see if this is all going to work right or not, but I'll figure that out as I go. Remember whenever I was saying that plate was a little bit bowed? Well, it's bowed like this. So this is how I got to get that other plate in my little side piece to make sure chains and stuff don't fall out. Because I'm using this scissor jack, using a little bitty bar, and that square piece tubing. Now, also, I'm now running with my DC welding machine. This will be my first time on it. As you can see, it's set at like 125 amps on DC. AC it'd be 225, so it's definitely not on that. But either way, let's see how it welds. Alright, right now I'm going to cut that 3-inch angle. I'm going to have to cut one side eventually. I ain't worried about that yet though. Give me a little bit more heat, a little bit more oxygen. Start cutting. Now this ain't thick enough for me to do a preheat to. Just doing it like this because I got it soapstoned instead of scribed, since these lenses are getting pretty bad off now. Might have. Also wouldn't hurt if I actually cleaned this tip once in a while too. But where's the fun in that? Plan. Hold it about right there. Let that get a good run to it. Preheat that metal. But oh well, you always got to put that stuff on camera. There we go. That's how my square tubing is looking right now. And while that's cooling, I'm actually doing another project. These are gas tank straps. And I got them off of a C60, I think it is, GMC. It had a 60-gallon auxiliary tank or 50 or something like that. And I'm going to use this 20-gallon air tank that's been kind of molested. That's going to be my gas tank. You know, kind of, I'll call it baby big truck style. It's going to be just sitting right here, except on the other side, so it'll be the driver's side. But to do that, I got to modify it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bitty piece of flat stock. It's my little gauge. Then I'm going to use cutting torch. Go cut right here, then do it again and do it again. Just making a nice even place where I can get that tank good and tight on there, and then I'll re-weld it. I'm going to use the cutting torch. It's going to create slag. If you could, I would use a Metabo blade or something like that, but this is what I got here, so let me get to it. Okay, me and Mr. Kubota, we got a new piece of metal. It's a mobile home trailer hitch. We used to have these little brackets on here, I guess to hold the trailer on, I don't really know. But I cut them off, and what I'm going to be using that for is for gussets. Here's some of my gussets right now, and I'm going to be putting them like this. The reason I'm doing that is because this bed is only held on to the frame on these little bitty spots. Now that's all fine and dandy whenever you're running it just as a regular bed. But since I'm going to be running gin poles, that means that the front of the bed will lift up underneath a heavy load. So to do that, well, to make that a little bit better, I'm going to give me a little bit more weld. Because right now, all this stuff is extremely thin, and that's probably not really a very good weld anyway. So I don't know, just a little bit more comfort on it. This is how I'm going to leave the bed for a little while. It's going to be about 5 weeks till I get back. But I got my little bitty receiver hitch things installed for the wrecker bed application, if I ever want to go that route with the gym poles. And then I got my other ones installed. The reason why I have the gym poles this close is because whenever I was planning this, I was not going to have the little bit of frame to extend it back to the way it was. See, this is where the frame cuts off. Now the frame needs to be a little bit longer than that to make this bed work. It needs to go out about another 1.5 feet, about to the end of that bumper. Now what I'm going to do here is, might be getting a little ahead of myself, but going to use this frame, going to have it around like this now, and then I'm going to cut some off of this side and weld it that way. So it's going to be a boxed in frame from right here, because if I do it the other way and, you know, make C-channel clamp on like that, I kind of run into a little bit of problems with my bumper mounts. I'm not going to have enough, so I'm just going to leave it like that. But either way, that right there, that came off of a 50s model 1-ton GMC off the cab. So in case if you ever have to do that, those frames match, at least at the tail end. But either way, that's why I wanted to have it stick out, well, go that close to the bed. Yeah, not the best in the world now, but at least it gives me a little bit of a table to work on without having gym poles in the way.